Very many thanks for staying with us here on KTN News. This is Newsline. We want to have a discussion with Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu on a myriad of issues, starting with what's happening in that county and the region to national politics, the state of politics in the country. We have seen a lot of interest from the head of state on that region, and of course, what has been happening in terms of political coalitions, alignments, and counter realignments going into the 2022 general election. Of course, the equation of the Building Bridges initiative, which is currently stuck in court, has been there. Charity Ngilu has been one of the staunch supporters of the Building Bridges initiative. Thank you, Madam Governor, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, I want us to talk about a number of things, and I want us to start from what's happening in Kitui. And to set the pace for us, let's begin with the President's visit to the region at the end of the week and early next week. And these efforts started last week when President Uhuru Kenyatta urged leaders across the political divide to unite and work together for Kenya to achieve its goal of becoming a middle-income country by 2030. The President emphasizing the whole essence of the Building Bridges initiative was to bring the country together and consolidate national unity. President Kenyatta hosted a delegation of political leaders from lower eastern counties of Kitui, Machakos, and Makueni to discuss the region's development. The President expressed optimism that the BBI will ensure inclusivity and equal distribution of resources across the country. Former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, Governors Alfred Mutua and Charity Ngilu also spoke at the meeting where they affirmed Ukambani region's support for the President.
You know, to see my brother Stephen being flanked by Chap Chap and Nak, it's beautiful. Huh? Because I will assure you, there is no way a country can move forward if leaders are not together. I have done much more than I was able to do even in my first term. Why? Because I have been able to focus myself, working in conjunction with my colleagues, and being able to focus on the development agenda, not the political agenda.
Of your Big Four agenda, Your Excellency, we are attending to them, all of them. You know, issue of food security, UHC, manufacturing and housing. In Kitui, we have started the 2,000 houses and has been sorted out, and we have signed with the people who are doing that. We have also started the UHC. This year, we have put in place some amount of 300 million shillings so that we can register 100,000 households out of the 262,000 households.
All right, that was last week. Madam Governor, I want us to talk about your work at in the county of Kitui, and then we'll talk about national issues later on. Let's begin from the President's expected visit of the region towards the end of the week. The President's visit, what's in it for the people of Kitui?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, we are looking forward to having the President visit this region. He did promise that he was going to be here. He would start in Machakos, go to Makueni on the 28th of this month, and they come to Kitui on the 29th. That you'll be spending 2 days in this region. He'll be looking at the national government projects that have already been done or are ongoing. To start with, he will visit the Konza City. He will also visit Thwake Dam in Makueni. And then the more recent development is the Kibwezi, Mutomo, Kitui, and the road that is going all the way to Upper Eastern. And therefore, we look forward to his visiting this region. In natural fact, during his second term, he has not been in this region. And therefore, we look forward. The other things that we hope that he can visit and see for himself, for us here in Kitui to see the paradigm shift that we have taken into development. We realize that for all the many years, our 262,000 households, according to the 2019 population census, about 62% of these are very poor people. And we do appreciate the devolution system of government that is now putting more resources into the counties. With this, we are happy that now we made a paradigm shift to just make sure that we can do other things looking at the resources that we have. And we decided, we made a deliberate effort and decision and the policies that make us now have a county government-led investments. These investments include our having put money into crushing our own stones. We bought a ballast crusher because Kitui has a lot of stones, and that one is helping us, you know, construct our own roads, our own drifts, etc., etc. And we have also been able to engage young people who are now making construction materials, and therefore we are able to create not only employment, but also create wealth. We also have gone on to start our Kitui County Textile Center. Madam
Governor, as you talk to us about those manufacturing projects, I want you to tell us, you've been a very big proponent of not going big on brick and mortar kind of projects, but going big on projects that are directly impact the people. Do you still believe these manufacturing projects that you're doing in Kitui still fall under this dream?
That is quite true. There is no development in putting up buildings and buildings and buildings, because a building is not development. Development is developing people. And in this count, as I said, our young people, the ages, out of my 1.134 million people, the population of this county, 19 to 59% to 59 are 57% of them are aged between 19 and 59 years. These are very young people. And again, about 60% of them are the ones who I can say have gone through secondary education. You know, they have not gone through secondary education. And for that reason, with that high number of people, we had to find something else for them to do, because there is no way that we can expect them to get jobs outside the county. Yes, you find them, the young people, every day selling this and that, like selling vegetables, including women, including young men. Others are now border. And I say that with the money that we are getting, we can use part of that money as capital and ensure that we can actually engage these people in meaningful employment. And when in 2018, we set up Kitui County Textile Center, Kikotech, we were able to train, first we trained 300 young people. 80% of these are young women who never made it through, some of them standard 8, others up to Form 4. And they have done very well indeed, because of training them. They now are every day engaged, and I also thank His Excellency the President, because he did send his officers. In fact, CS Matiang and the CS Kariuki did, Mrs. Kariuki visited Kikotech and saw for themselves when he sent them, just to see whether we have the capacity. And today, we are making garments for the administration, you know, the regional commission, the DCC, and the DCs, and all the chiefs in Kenya. And all these people, young people, are engaged throughout the year. We are also making for KWS. We are also now making for others like Huduma.
Let me ask you this, Madam Governor.
And we are very happy that this...
As you talk about Kikotek, it has been very popular across the country, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, with what you've been able to do there. But there are some people within your county that have raised questions about whether it really helps the people of Kitui directly. Are you clear about the sustainability of projects like Kikotek? And do you believe they can be done by any of the 47 counties?
You see, you need first and foremost to understand why we started this, because if you look at what has been happening in this country, we have been importing everything that you find in this country, including even before some of these administration uniforms that we are making here were being imported from China and other countries, which is really very shameful for a country that has so many young people who can actually do this. And it's just because we had not trained them, we had not used, you know, and we know these 4 factors of production. We have land, therefore, and we have capital, and we have the people, that's the labor, and the technology. And we put that in place. And the other thing that, of course, is part of the factors of production is leadership, because we make sure that people are led to be shown what they need to do. Therefore, I'm saying that, yes, it is sustainable as long as we will stop some of these imports that are not necessary in this country. Just visit our malls and you'll be surprised and you wonder why we're getting everything that can be made here. And remember, the Big 4 agenda of the president, he has talked about, you know, manufacturing, housing, food security, and UHC, that is making sure that everybody can access affordable, accessible, and quality health care. In this country, only those who are working, mostly in government, are able to get that because they can pay and become members of NHIF. Yet, it is possible to get as many of our people accessing better health care. So I'm looking at the policies there in place. The president has said it. We have resources. So we need to do it and stop doing things just for the sake of doing it. And it is sustainable.
It sounds like a very good plan, Madam Governor. Yet we speak this when the counties are going through, or we are looking at an imminent cash crunch because of late or non-disbursement of funds from the national government. How does this, sit within the working relationship between the 2 levels of government?
Hence the reason why I'm saying our counties can also find ways of also making money. For instance, we have not received money since the month of March. We have had April, May, and now we are in June. If we were making our own money, we could be able to sustain ourselves, and this is what we now need to start doing, using the money that we are getting as capital and starting as many of these projects that really benefit people directly and that can, and we have the market, local market, as possible. I'll give you an example because I say to you, we already have a ballast crusher in this county. A ballast crusher that we got as a county produces 110 metric tons per hour. And in a day, we can produce up to 1,400 metric tons. That one used locally, we as a county, the money we get, we buy it from ourselves so that we do not take our money out of the county. We also use the same to help our young people where we are now producing our construction materials, and they are able to pay themselves. And those construction materials, and here I am talking about materials like cabro, fencing posts, the side road curbs, etc., etc., and they are engaged throughout. If you would have come during the daytime, you would see now our ECD classrooms. We are not using materials from outside the county. We are making interlocking blocks, and they're being made by young people who are now earning a salary, who are earning an income, and therefore we need to absolutely be looking at all the opportunities that we have and all the resources that we have in the counties. And the biggest of these, by the way, are the young men and women who are loitering everywhere, not doing anything. So for me, I look at those their hands, that we must give them something to do with their own hands and earn a living. And it is possible. If you look, I don't know whether you can look behind me, you see some of the things that we are making. Behind me, you will see a bed net, mosquito net. That mosquito net, for all the years, and this should be very embarrassing for all of us Kenyans, was being made in either Malaysia or Japan or China and coming to Kenya. But now, young girls from Kikotech, young girls and boys, are making it. These are young people who still could have been doing these things. We have got to think again as a country and as counties. I never thought for one moment that these young men and women in Kitui County Textile Center could make these masks that we are having here. All our health facilities need masks. Behind me, you see some other products that we are also making. All our non-pharmaceuticals, which we are making here, you can see them just on my left-hand side. We are all making them here. We have encouraged our farmers to produce more honey. Again, our Kitui honey right now is in top markets in Nairobi. You can go to Sarit Center and you find our honey.
All very impressive. All very impressive, Madam Governor. And you can attest to the fact that this directly makes the lives of the thousands of Kitui residents' lives better.
Yes. I can tell you for sure. I cannot say that I have been able to hire all these and put them into direct employment, but I'm saying this is a beginning. We are having in Kikotech right now nearly 700 young people working there. We are planning as a county to open another Kikotech in Mutomo and a Kikotech in Mwingi. And therefore, this again will increase the number of people. We have just brought in our machines where we will start making shoes. This country imports more than 30 million pairs of shoes every year. Ask yourself, surely can we make these shoes here so that we can get our young people working? We import, this country again imports more than 2.5 million balls, just games balls every year. Again, we have started making the same here in Kitui. You can see them behind me if you can look at what we have here. And therefore, I'm just saying that we have what it takes to produce everything and ensure that we retain our own money.
All right. I want us to move away and talk about other things that matter to Kenyans nationally. But before we move away from there, you have been governor for the last 4 years. A lot of Kenyans look at you as a national leader. What would you say is your legacy over the last 4 years?
In fact, the joy of being a governor for me is really to do just what I've been talking about, that we can move away from every day. Yes, we are doing, like we have one program, which I personally would like to say I do not like it very much in this county. I found it here. It's a policy that we call PROPOA. And the PROPOA means that every year we set aside some 120, some 160 million shillings so that we can continuously help the families take their children to school. In other words, rather very poor families. And I'm just saying that, can I start looking at how I can use this money and putting these families, these households, into meaningful employment so that they can eventually send their own children to school. And some of the things that we are doing is just what I've been telling you. I tell you the truth, that if the young people working in Kikotech now are making their own income every month, they would not come to me and ask for money to send their children to school. And this gives me a lot of joy, quite honestly, that we can eventually help young people, help households start to do their own work. The other one that really makes me happy is when we just came into this county and I was the governor elected, and I said, let us deal with food insecurity. And for the first time in this county, we have not been given any of this relief food. Molio was the other name for all the years when we were lacking food. But we know one crop that we introduced in this county, ndengu or green grams, has done very well. We could have gotten a better market for our product, ndengu, but we did not get it. But that has caused us, because we did supply to 184,000 households 2 kilograms each household. And that year, the year 2018-2019, we did produce 49 million kilograms of green grams. Really, that has continued to help the households. And I do believe that we'll continue to do this. The other one that we have started here in the county is our what we call meander irrigation program, that where we have rivers, water that passes after rains, and after we do not have rains, we have started to grow our own vegetables. In actual fact, we are helping our farmers.
All right, Madam Governor, now, we have to leave it there in terms of what your legacy is. I'm sure the people of Kitui and Kenyans are watching, and they will make their judgments. I want us to move away from that a bit. There has been there's a looming cash crunch facing the 47 counties. Could you tell us what it has done to you as head of that county? And you're an avid supporter of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and I've been calling for the region and for Kenya to support his programs. Yet, you said money has not been disbursed to the country since March, April. How do Kenyans reconcile this?
Yes, I think what I'm saying here is that obviously we do know that the 47 counties receive money from the national government, yes, but the national government also has competing needs, which they must also make sure that they are attending to them, because I do appreciate that. I have every reason to believe that they are not doing this deliberately, that I do know that we have had major effects due to COVID-19 pandemic in this country for the last, now running to 2 years. And for that reason, we all need to appreciate and understand. A lot of people have been laid off from where they used to work. Those who used to pay taxes promptly, if you are not working, you are not paying taxes. A lot of businesses have closed. And therefore, surely I would like to ask myself, even when I'm saying that please, national government, send the money to the counties, they have also been affected, like we have also been affected. So I do believe that we all need to come together. And let us, personally, I don't want to continuously look at leadership at the national level, like also we at the county level are not leaders. We are also leaders, and we need to find solutions that are affecting this country together. so that we can tell our people the direction we want to take them and what needs to be done. But for me of importance is to once again look at our production, what we can produce in our counties, what we can produce in this country. Let me say something that bothers me very much. If you look at the SGR, when it is coming up from Mombasa, it is carrying so many goods up, bringing it to Nairobi, bringing it to upcountry, bringing it to Kisumu, bringing it to the region. And when all those containers are going down, they are empty, empty. We need to ask ourselves, why aren't we producing enough, something that can be going down? Visit our supermarkets. You'll be shocked to see everything in our supermarkets that is coming from outside. Yet, we can also produce, and that's why today I want to call upon us as leaders and to say this is what we can do for this country. We continue to say what we think people should do and the positions that people need to give to us. But let us also think about, once we have been given that position, how are you going to add value to the lives of people once you're in a position?
All right. What's your take on your fellow governors who have threatened to shut down services at the counties because of the lack of funds?
I'm asking ourselves that we should see how we can sustain, because, for instance, if we shut down, and of course I'm feeling it also, don't think as a governor of Kitui I'm not feeling this, because since we have not gotten money from the national government, our hospitals are suffering. We have had to at least keep money to make sure that the salaries are paid. But it is rather very painful, and we are all feeling it. But the best thing is not to shut down. I do not know if we shut down, what then happens. That I do not know.
All right. We shall be keeping an eye on that. I want us to talk about something else. I want to talk about the state of politics in this country, some things that you've been very vocal about in the last few days. Let's begin what happened today, where the Kitui Governor, Charles Ngilu, was advising warring allies, ODM party leader Raila Odinga and his Wiper party counterpart Kalonzo Musyoka, to bury the hatchet and join hands towards clinching the presidency in the 2022 general election. Ngilu warning the clashing duo and the NASA co-principals, Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, that they stand to lose their stab at the country's top seat should each decide to go it alone. This comes in the wake of a heated war of words between Raila and Kalonzo after the latter set the ball rolling when he recently vowed that he would not support Raila for president. Listen.
Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi, Mheshimiwa Wetangula na wale wengine tunataka kuwa kwa serikali, ni lazima tushikane pamoja na tulete mmoja wetu awe rais wa Kenya, na si tuwe kwa serikali. Lakini tukisema kila mmoja anaenda peke yake, tulijaribu hiyo njia. Nilikuwa huko 92 tulikuwa kila mtu anaenda kivyake, 97 kila mtu alienda kivyake, tunashindwa na Nyayo. 2002 tulikuwa pamoja, tukashinda Nyayo na Uhuru mara moja. Sasa hawa wanataka kurepeat kitu ambacho tulifanya kwa nini?
So these calls for the two to unite started a couple of weeks ago, but then this is what happened. Let's listen to Kalonzo Musyoka's big announcement.
The most stupid fellow on the earth to go and support the third time a presidential candidate, all right, without a measure of reciprocity.
A couple of hours later, this was the response from the ODM party leader, Raila Odinga. Listen.
Sijatangaza mimi nataka kusimama urais. Nilitangaza. Lakini wengine wanasema ati hawawezi kuniunga mkono. Mimi si nimeuliza wewe niunge mkono? Mimi sijatangaza. Bado naanza kutetemeka. Naanza kubweka. Subiri bwana, mambo bado.
Madam Governor, a lot has been happening in recent weeks politically, and Kenyans have noted your matchmaking efforts towards Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka. But it seems that you're failing at that because the two leaders are teachers' as throats. Talk to us about that.
Yes, I have said certainly the best thing is for these leaders to sit and talk, not to talk at each other. And actually, they are talking, and we and Kenyans are listening to what they are saying. The one thing that they need to understand is that there must be a problem or a challenge that they are trying to solve. Leadership solves problems for the people, not for an individual, not for a person. And therefore, it is that should make them sit together, talk to one another, and find the solution. Is it therefore selfish that each one of them must run and be the president of Kenya? The question I would like to ask, and I'm asking them, is what is the agenda? When we came together in 2002, we had done the same thing from 1992, 1997, until 2002, we realized none of us had the capacity to do it alone and really achieve the same thing that we were saying. If you listen to all of them, they are saying that there is a lot that they would like to put together. And interestingly, all of them are part and parcel of the handshake. So if you are part and parcel of the handshake, we go and sit, and recently we all sat down together and start talking about what are the things that we believe leadership can do to make better the lives of Kenyans. And then after that, after we have sat together, each one of them will go and start, howling terrible, painful words at the other. Leaders must respect each other. Leaders must respect the people that they represent. And what I'm saying is, looking at all of them, because I've been there before, when you see them talking, you need to look at, therefore, where is the strength of each one of them? A lot of times you find they are speaking, leaders speak very comfortably at the comfort zones of their own communities. Is your community able to actually give you that top seat? All of them, by the way, all of them have tried. Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka has tried before. Mheshimiwa Musalia has tried before. Mheshimiwa Raila has tried before. But when they came together, quite honestly, they know they did very well, and they know it. So, judging from what has happened in the past, can now each one of them make it alone? I guess not. They will not be able to do so. So I believe, for me, the best thing for them would be to sit again and address this issue without talking at each other. It is not very, personally I would say, mature. It is not very good for people to talk this way. People have worked together. It is better for people to sit and talk with each other.
In 2007, there was the Pentagon of ODM, which you were part of, and did not clinch the presidency. In 2013, there was a CORD, which also failed, and in 2017, there was NASA, which also failed. What will be different this time round, in your view?
I have every reason to believe that a lot of things that need to be corrected is not how people vote, because people go and vote well. It is how eventually, when people are voting, when the votes that are being when the votes are being transmitted and being counted are done. We saw surely, and every Kenyan knows this, at the height, just about in 2017, when everybody was about to vote, one very senior official of IEBC was killed. Muzando was killed. And to date, nobody has ever told us who killed Muzando. There lies the answer. There lies the reason why I personally believe truly that NASA had done very well for all the years. In 2007, I was there also. In 2007, you also know what happened. And we all know what happened. Because obviously, then President Kibaki was running, and actually I can almost say he was running with only his own community at that time. All the other communities in this country were together. The same year is when also Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka was running, and Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka also got support from his own community. And that's how they came together, and for him to become the vice president of Mwai Kibaki. This can be avoided, and we can have an outright win in the person or in the team who come together and run together. But most importantly, what the President Uhuru Kenyatta is saying every single day is that he would like to see a more inclusive leadership where people do not feel left out of leadership. And I say this because that is the quarrel that there is in this country, that you find, and this has been said, President Kenyatta himself said it, that there has been only two tribes in this country who have been leading this country. One tribe, it was from independence, President Jomo Kenyatta, then after that it was President Moi, then after that it was President Kibaki, then after that President Uhuru Kenyatta, and then after that it looks like people or somebody thinks that he should go back to the same community. That is not right.
So you speak of electoral issues and lack of political inclusivity. That's what I hear. Do you believe that the BBI process has solved this, the BBI process which you support in a big way?
This, for me, certainly was going to include everybody. Today, quite honestly, look at the cabinet today. The cabinet today has so many also slightly bigger communities left out, including the executive, the national executive. Most of these other communities are left with our own counties. It is just about our counties where we are fighting amongst ourselves. But we're also looking at the leadership because of the policies at the national government that we want to be on the decision-making table. We want to see how things are being done. And I think that's what we are saying about BBI.
BBI shortly, but before we do that, going back to your matchmaking efforts, there are those critics who are saying that your efforts are simply anti-Ruto efforts. What do you say to that?
It's not about anti-Ruto. I'm just saying that first and foremost, Kenyans must look out and get out there and look for good leaders. Leaders who appreciate the needs of the people of this country. Somebody who can understand, especially what we are seeing within our villages, within our counties, the poverty levels, that somebody should come and say, this is how I'm going to address the poverty levels, the joblessness, the hopelessness of the people that are in the counties. And if any leader believes and thinks that you can get people on handouts, then you are the worst leader anybody, any country would have. You need, and the saying goes that train people on how to fish, but not how to eat fish. I don't want to talk about Ruto because I don't think he understands, and I've worked with him. I've worked with him in the government, in the cabinet, and he doesn't understand the language of helping people to do something, use their own hands, make sure that they can actually produce, make sure that they can conclude programs and projects. Can he tell us one thing that he has done? Because right now, he has been the deputy president for the last, 9 years. Until, and you heard President Uhuru Kenyatta say, for the first time, he has been able to do something, and we can see he's working alone. His deputy has decided not to support him to achieve things that they set out together. He came up with a very clear agenda. Which of the projects have we seen, Ruto going to inspect on food, on water, on this and the other? So that's what I'm saying.
People would tell you, or his supporters would tell you, that he has proposed the bottoms-up approach, which takes care of the people first.
Yes, that bottom-up approach is making people work. Which area has he gone to put people to work? I would like to see him showing us, this is the farm that I've started for young people. I'm doing, where he would be doing solarized irrigation programs, where he should be showing how he's adding value to the many things that the young people are doing, because then that is bottom-up approach. But bottom-up approach of giving people handouts is not a bottom-up approach to development. Development is understanding that we have got all the resources that we need in this country. We do have the land itself, good land that can produce. We do have the people themselves, labor. We do have technology. We do have, money. And therefore, let him come and teach young people how to do something for themselves, not to give them money so that they can think he is doing a good job. That's a terrible thing for a leader to do.
Away from that,
let him come and see, and then let him get us the markets for these products. And he has been there. We know he has been part and parcel of people who have been importing everything into the country. He's a very poor leader.
All right, away from that, as we wind up on this issue of coalitions and political alignments and realignments, do you support the president's seemingly influencing or trying to manage his succession?
I have not heard the president talk about that or influence anybody. What we saw on the 9th of March, 2018, is the leader of ODM, Raila Amolo Odinga, and His Excellency the President coming together and saying that let us ensure that there is peace so that we can ensure that we have a working environment. Because if there is no peace, there is no working environment. If there is no peace, you could see people were not going to work. So that handshake that brought in so much peace and that brought in the other 3 partners of NASA, Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka and Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi and Mheshimiwa Wetangula, I think brought lasting peace. I have not heard him say, I'm going to hand over leadership to this person. But I'm sure he would like to hand in, and he has said it, he would truly love to hand over leadership to somebody who will ensure there is peace, and stability in this country, and that development can continue. And I personally would like to work with a person who will understand that Kenyans need to ensure that they can have food to eat, and the UHC, people can access better health care, clean water, good education, and work. That is, for me, very important. The Big Four agenda is a great policy which should be supported.
You have been an avid supporter of Raila Odinga, and in other times you have been a very staunch supporter of the president, times like now. So you're obviously a big supporter of the handshake. What would you say is the single biggest legacy of that handshake that is now 3 years old?
First and foremost, if you look at the big, first and foremost, the biggest one is that we have enjoyed, this country has enjoyed peace and stability. And as I said, you heard the president himself talk about this. And to say that for all the time, he has been able to do his work peacefully, without being told, without having police, tear gas, fighting in the streets. And therefore, that is something that we must all celebrate. And when this handshake came in, even us, those who are in NASA, said, okay, we must respect our leader. And that the president accepted, and the ODM leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, accepted. We also said we were supporting them. And immediately, Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka and Musalia also followed suit. So we all became one team to work together. So that is a great legacy for them. And therefore, we have seen also a lot of infrastructure programs that have been put in place. For me, let me tell you the one thing that I'm enjoying here in this Kitui County. I'm looking at this road. This road has opened, you know, Kibwezi, Mutomo, Kitui, Mwingi Road has opened this area. This is a great opportunity for us people of Kitui. And in actual fact, right now we have everything that goes with real development, because we can produce nearly everything. And we are doing so. And we have a quick direct market. To Mombasa now is only 5 hours away from Kitui. And a lot of people are coming through Kitui. So there are these things that we can celebrate.
All right, let's talk about one final thing, Madam Governor, and that is the BBI, something that has been on the back of the minds of Kenyans for a very long time now. You are a big supporter of the BBI. Are you still confident that it will sail through somehow?
I have every reason to believe that even judges themselves are Kenyans, and they should know what Kenyans want because of this inclusivity, making sure that in every form of leadership, in every form of where decisions are being made, there is inclusivity. Other people's ideas are being heard, and I already said this before. So what I'm saying is that I do believe that they don't live in an island. They have heard what we are saying, and we want it. Even number two, if you look at it, we also want to have the two-third gender rule, quite honestly, implemented. And again, this is the only one that women of Kenya are also waiting for. Today, we are happy and we celebrate one arm of the government at least being led by one of us as women, that only recently, after many years of independence, 58 years of independence, we now have our Chief Justice, you know, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, and we are very happy. We're also looking at a time when we can have more women in leadership. Women think differently, women act differently, women work differently, women are very committed, and women will make sure that there is peace for everybody and resources are distributed equitably so that everybody gets their own share. That's what we are saying about this BBI.
You have also said in the past that the 35% disbursement of funds to the counties that is proposed in the BBI document is reason enough, you know, for you to tell Kenyans to pass this document. Yet we are seeing now even the 15% is not reaching them. What do you tell them?
No, I think once this is passed, we will also make sure that we are doing production. And I'm saying again here that look at the work that we can do in the counties. Surely behind me, and honestly, if it was daytime, you would have been seeing the things that we are making in this Kitui. With 35% more, it is just not to employ people. It is to be able to train, build capacity, buy machines, and make sure that our products are going into the markets so that people are working. And I hope you can find time to go to our up markets. Everything you find in these supermarkets, you just feel terrible about what you see. Everything. Fruits that can come from Kitui, can come from Makueni. Everything is coming from outside. Even I think there is, at the moment, some quarrel between ourselves, and even potatoes that are coming from a country that gets water from here. Egypt is exporting potatoes to Kenya. And yet, Egypt get water from Kenya. I mean, what do you say about that?
All right.
What is it that we cannot do?
Back to the BBI as we wind up. What happens if the BBI it fails at the courts where it is stuck currently?
I want to believe that it will not fail, first of all. I want to believe that, and we'll continue talking about it, and we'll continue urging the judges that they need to look at it and listen to what Kenyans are saying. Judges cannot just say, we don't think this is good. And we also looked at it and said, personally, I was asking myself, if a judge is saying that this was not inclusive and there was no public participation, and the number of meetings that we went out to the people, we talked to them, to the extent that they even said it was president-driven. All policies come from some source. And once a policy, if you talk about the things I do in this county, I went out to the people, I campaigned, I said I want to do this and this and this. And after that, I gave it back to them. And they said, yes, that is what we want. And they elected me. When they did that, then I have gone on with these policies. And therefore, you cannot say it is leader-driven. No. The leader comes up with the ideas. After giving the ideas to the people, they look at them. And if they find these are good ideas, then they go ahead. And this is what happened about BBI. So I truly find it not very right that they said that this was president-driven. I don't think so. So we are still hopeful, and I do believe that it will certainly see the light of the day, and we'll get it going.
I want to get your comment quickly on something that has been said by a fellow proponent of this BBI document. That is the Central Organization of Trade Unions Co-to Secretary General Francis Atwoli, who has spoken of a plan to postpone the 2022 general election if the process to amend the constitution through the BBI falls through. Atwoli says proponents of the BBI will seek to move to the Supreme Court if they lose in the Court of Appeal and start the process afresh if they fail at the highest court in the land. Listen.
If there is no BBI, we will postpone elections until we get BBI. And it is us who can postpone. It will not be leaders, it will not be political leaders, it is us who get problems. And if there will be no BBI, there will be no election. That one I can tell you for free. Because we don't want to die. We have been dying after 5 years. And workers are the people 2017. It is us who proposed revisiting of our 2010 constitution to look into it. So, but I don't want to talk too much because everything is in court. We will appeal through our parliamentarians to extend the election by even either 1 year until we get BBI.
All right, a fellow big proponent of the BBI. Do you, Madam Governor, subscribe to that school of thought of no BBI, no elections?
I have not proposed that, and I don't think that's a good idea. I want to let the courts do their work.
All right.
Yes.
Apologies for that. So what is... So
Sorry, excuse me.
All right. So you don't support what Atwoli is saying?
No.
All right. Let me ask you this. As the president comes to the lower eastern parts of the country, what will you governors from there be talking to him about? What will you be asking him?
Excuse me. The few things I personally want to ask for is to make sure that he can help us to do solarized irrigation, solarized irrigation at Kiduki, where we would like to do 10,000, excuse me.
Sorry about that. Apologize for that.
acres of solarized irrigation scheme that is near Tana River, and we can also do ensure that Masinga Dam has a serious, I'm talking about Kitui now, Masinga Dam has a serious problem because we pay a lot of money to Kenya Power, and we are thinking that we can do at least solarized pumping in Masinga Dam so that we can get adequate water for Kitui and adequate water for Mwingi and also Machakos, because we have got plenty of water. That's one thing that we want to do. And I also want him, when he comes here to Kitui, to increase the capacity of the young people who are working in our factories now so that we can continue to industrialize Kitui. That is something that in Kitui I want to ask. We are also asking for a few other roads that need to be done. And in Makueni, they are asking for a university, a full-fledged university. That's something that we are asking, you know, over and above other things that we presented to him when we were in State House, Nairobi.
All right. Will you be asking him to expedite disbursement of funds to the counties, even though the financial year is done?
I do believe that His Excellency, that the President knows the needs of these counties, and therefore there will be, for me, no need to tell him, to remind him, because he knows the needs of all the 47 counties. And what I'm saying to him is that, and I want to ask we as governors, so that when we meet, as we put pressure on the national government, and the one thing that I would like him to help us to do is to do much more work using the people, doing products that can be sold so that we can make our own source revenue. Quite honestly, we must increase that, because the time may come when it's also very difficult for the national government to send money to us. And for this reason, for me, the one thing I will insist on for him to do, one, markets of the products that we are making. Two, help me to build the capacity of young people so that I can increase the number of young people who are now working in this county. My plan would be at least to put about 23,000 young people to be working, making money and making our own source revenue.
All right, Madam Governor, because of time, in 1 minute only.
But we remind him, obviously.
Yes. In 1 minute only, your closing remarks to Kenyans watching tonight.
My closing remarks is that this country is 58 years since we got independence. We should reduce the amount of imports that we are putting in this country and increase exports to the developed countries, to the richer countries, because they just come and take everything. And plus, look again at our own region, the East African region. if we do that, certainly there is a huge market. But our market is taken by developed countries that are bringing in everything that they make in their own countries. And the only thing that we continue to talk about is how about quality, quality, quality. A few years ago, I remember the things that used to come from Japan. We never talked, we thought it had no quality. We thought everything that was coming from Europe was quality. But today we know quality is coming from Japan, quality is coming from China. Let us, we Kenyans, start somewhere.
All right.
And I do believe with that, we'll be able to see Kenya growing faster. And finally, and it is true, China put 300 million people out of abject poverty, ufukara kabisa, in 20 years. Let us put our act together in this country to help our people out of poverty. I want to thank you.
Thank you, Madam Governor, for talking to us tonight.
And thank you so much.
All right. KITILI Governor Charity Ngilu talking to us about a myriad of things happening in this country today. That's why we leave it on NEWSLINE this Tuesday night, the 22nd day of June 2021. For all of us here on the broadcast, we do appreciate you for watching tonight. Thank you for the privilege of your time this Tuesday night. Our sign language interpreter was Meresha Owiti. I am Ben KITILI. Good night from Nairobi.